Welcome back to ABC 7 Extra Sunday. My guests tonight, Diana Sayavedra, Superintendent for the El Paso School District, James Vasquez, Interim Superintendent for the Socorro School District, and Lindley Camburn, the Chief Financial and Operational Officer for the Isleta School District. Mr. Vasquez, are the two conservators from the Texas Education Agency still overseeing the Socorro District?
Yes, they are. They've been here almost a year. They come by on a monthly basis for our board meetings. We have contact in between, phone calls, video conferencing and so forth, periodically as things arise. They've been a great help to the district. They've provided a lot of support, and a lot of great ideas they've recommended, but by the same token, they've also allowed us to be who we need to be as a district. We have I like to say we have a very unique culture, and that hasn't changed. They've allowed us to continue to do that.
So was it their suggestion to lay off the 300 employees as you attempt to reduce that $38 million deficit?
I think in looking at this, with our CFO, our cabinet, and with conservators, we all realized it wasn't anything where that they forced us to do this or they told us we had to do this. I think we all came to that realization together in looking at the numbers, and as difficult as it was necessary. Over the past 5 years, as Ms. Camburn said, we've faced increasing inflation, lack of funding from the state, so we've had to dip into our reserves for the past several years to make up for these things. And now, I think we all find ourselves in a situation where those reserves are being depleted, and it's not a Socorro problem or a regional problem. It's a statewide problem. We're seeing that everywhere, but that's kind of where we're at.
So, according to a recent article in El Paso Inc., the Socorro School Board approved $30 million in projects that added to the district's deficit for your maintenance and operation budget. That money had to come from the district's rainy day fund for things like specialized academies, new turf at high school stadiums, a parking lot at Montwood High School, pay raises, one-time stipends for employees. So how are you and the conservators working with the trustees to understand that deficit spending can lead to bigger problems down the road?
Yeah. Well, we've had a series of workshops over the summer to look at ways that to see the results of some of these decisions. As Ms. Camburn said, at the time, we were a growing school district. We were anticipating more revenue in that way. We were anticipating more revenue from the last legislative session. So it was a thing where we felt we could do it. It was almost a perfect storm in Socorro because, the declining enrollment came all of a sudden. It wasn't gradual. From one year to the next, we lost almost 1,000 students. So that was not foreseen by anybody. You combine that with the inflation, lack of funding from the state, it just really hit us hard at one time. So I don't think anybody was anticipating. So I don't. Those weren't the decisions that by the board that were foreseen at the time.
Right. Ms. Sayavedra, the EPISD board in November voted to close those 8 elementary schools, as you mentioned. And around the same time, the district hired a bond consultant to decide whether to ask taxpayers for more money to rebuild campuses as you redraw boundaries. Now, one does realize savings, the other ups spending. So what does that do to the district's finances?
Right. So I think that it's critical and important. I'm going to comment on something associated with just declining enrollment. I think that it's important for the public to realize that declining enrollment is a regional issue. It's not an independent school district issue. Our city is growing by 4% in a very strong state economy when every other large city is growing by 10% or more. So it is a regional issue that's impacting school districts. So I think that that's important for the public to know. Yes, we're making difficult decisions, and we will need to continue to right-size our school district. At the same time, we have to address our infrastructure. The average age of my elementary schools is 65 years old, and the average age of my school buildings as a whole is 50 years old. We have significant HVAC issues. We need to keep pace with the state mandates associated with safety and security. And so while we're dealing with all of these challenges, it's critical and important for us to address our infrastructure so that we can continue to deliver on the promise of a brighter future and a high quality education for all children. The greatest investment that this community can make is in education, because school districts are largely responsible for the growth and prosperity of every community. And so when we have an infrastructure that's not healthy, then we have to rely on going to the public to approve bonds so that we can address those things. And the last time that El Paso ISD passed a bond was in 2016. That's a decade ago. And so we've got to address these specific issues while we continue to work with balancing our budget.
And it's not easy for a district to sell off shuttered schools, is it?
No, it's not, but again, when I got here, there were 33 surplus properties. We've been successful and very intentional about offloading 16 of those. In the conversations that I've had with the community, we've pledged to the community that within the next 5 years, we're going to move on all of our surplus properties. And we're looking at very creative ideas. And this is an opportunity for school districts to work very closely with the city and with the county to address economic development issues and really look at what are the opportunities that we have to infuse and invest in the urban core so that there is affordable housing and we're drawing families into neighborhoods who currently don't have enough school-age children for us to keep schools open.
Ms. Camburn, when it comes to the Isleta School District, how are you all reducing your deficit? Do you all have surplus properties that you're trying to sell?
We do also have surplus properties. Among those 13 schools that we have closed, we've only sold one of them, and so we do have them available for sale. They've been advertised, and we do have some offers. They're just not yet fair market value offers.
Okay, but what else are you doing to help lessen that deficit that you're facing?
Well, when 86% of your budget is tied up in personnel and you're not committed to having a reduction in force like we're seeing in Socorro, I think that it's a challenge to do that. And so we continue to also look at student to staff ratios. We look at unnecessary positions. So when someone retires or someone leaves of their own volition to maybe take another opportunity, we'll evaluate that position. Is it absolutely necessary to keep it open? And if not, then we absolutely close it and take those savings to reduce the deficit.
When we return, the financial help being considered in the Texas legislature and what effect, if the bills pass, would they have on our big three school districts? Stay with us. You're watching ABC 7 Extra Sunday.